Hey there, welcome back. I'm Ron Mullet. I hope you like that little disappearing act. I saw this box in a magazine and I decided to build it. It was a lot of fun. So I hope you join me and I'll show you how I did it. I'm going to start this project by making two boxes. One of them is 1/4 inch thick plywood, and these are the dimensions. If you want to stop the video and write them down, why, have at it. Okay, the bottom I've already glued and brad nailed the side on. Now then, to do the other side, I've got a square on the table. Always like using a square on the table. Put that in there and then slide this up here. And then I can make a rub joint. Just rub this back and forth, and that just forces the glue in. These boxes have one end, so it's just sort of a rinse and repeat. Next, we're going to drill a 3/4 inch hole in the bottom of the box at the open end. I like using a Forstner bit for this. I've got it centered and it's 3/4 of an inch back from the open end. Now I move on to the inner box. It's got one bottom, two sides, and it has two ends on this one. I'm not going to show you how I glue it together. You already know that. But here are the dimensions for the inner box. I just want to point out one more thing. I don't know if I said this or not. The outer box is made with 1/4 inch plywood, and the inner box is made with 1/8 inch plywood. The next thing on the large box, after we drill the hole, I've taken a square and drawn two lines. Now we have to cut this piece out. Okay, so now what you should end up with is a small box with 1/8 inch plywood, a larger box with 1/4 inch plywood. These two should fit together just like a piston in a cylinder. A nice, smooth, easy moving fit. And what we're going to do next is going to put that in there all the way, and then take a pencil and mark this. Now we'll take it to the drill press and we'll drill another 3/4 inch hole. I'm putting this box on this block of wood so that I don't have any blowout on the inside of the box. Now we'll turn our attention back to the outside box, the larger of the two, and we have to put these strips on here. Now these are 1/8 of an inch thick and they're 1/2 inch wide. There'll be one on each end, and then there'll be on each end. Now you need to get them flush with the outside of the box. Okay, I've got the frame on top of the outer box, and I filled in all the pin nails. Then I sanded it down smooth, rounded the edges over. And this is the inner box. Make sure that this is all sanded smooth, flat, because this has to slide in here now. You want to make sure that it slides nice and easy in there. You got a little bit of room, but it's a good piston fit. This is the reason I cut the 3/4 inch hole with the slot, because you put your finger in there to move the inner box back and forth. Okay, now it's time to paint these. I want to paint them black, and I'm using just a flat back Rust-Oleum rattle can. What needs to be painted is the outside of this and the inside. The inside of this one and just the top edges. The outside doesn't need to be painted. One thing I failed to mention about the painting of the small boxes, you have to paint the inside of the small boxes and one end, the end that is opposite of the hole. It's now time to move on to the exterior box. It's 5/16 inch thick. I'm using oak. The edges are all 45-degree miters. Now, I don't want to give you a dimension on this because you have to make this fit the smaller boxes so that the box slides in and out easily like that. It has an end that is attached to the box, and the other end is inset into a dado all the way around. The first thing I'm going to cut is the miters on the long edges of the tops and the sides. The first thing I've done is cut a 45 on one side of all four pieces. Next, I'll take and put two of those sides together, and then I'll lay this in. I'll put those two together, hold it in there tight. I'll take a pencil, and I'm going to allow about 1/16 of an inch inside of this outer box. So I'm going to come out here about a 1/16 of an inch, make a mark, and then I'm going to cut this angle like that. What I'll do is I'll start long and then creep up on that mark until I get it to the right size. Okay, you can see where I snuck up on the mark. Now let's see how this goes. Put these two pieces together and set that in there. And I've got just about a 1/16 of an inch clearance all the way along there. So I'm good to go on that setup. So I'll finish the side, and then I'll do the same thing for the bottom and the top. Now that all the 45s are cut, a quick way to test the fit is to just lay them down and stand the sides and the bottom and the top up on end and hold those miters tight like that, and then just lift it up off the box. Wiggle a little bit. If you're satisfied with that fit, you're good to go. Now the next thing I'm going to do is cut these to length and then cut a dado around the inside here to put the back on. I put a stop block on my fence. I'll run this through, and I'll have to do probably 2 cuts to 3 cuts. I'll slowly move the stop block until I get the width of the dado that I need. After you've cut the groove on the box, this is just a sample piece, take the inner box that has a hole in it. Now this is after you've got these cut to width. This is the bottom. Set it on there and line it up with the interior of the groove. And then take a pencil and outline that circle right there. Now you're going to drill a hole, 3/4 inch hole in the bottom. Okay, I've cut the groove in all the sides and the tops. Now I need to cut the box to length. I'll put a piece of wood in there. That'll be the back of the box. And then I'll take the drawer, slide it to the back, and then take another piece and draw a line across here. Now this will be the front of the drawer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it just about a 1/16 of an inch longer. The next thing I need to do is cut the back that fits into this groove. I've got a sample piece here so I can show you how I'm going to do this. I've darkened the edge of this 45. What you need to do is measure from the edge of the 45 where the 45 meets the groove. See right there. And on this one, I've got 3 9/16. I'm going to set my rip fence to 3.5, and then I'll go from there. Now at 3.5 inches, if I center that, you can see that I've got a little bit of space there and a little bit of space there, so that'll give me some room when this box goes together. I failed to tell you later in the video to spray the inside of the top and the bottom black. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to assemble all the pieces temporarily and see if everything fits the right way before we do the final glue up, and I put them against a straight edge down at the bottom of the box. Yep, that fits well. Now the next thing is to cut the end, and that will get glued onto the front of the box, and it will be recessed back, well, right about that much. Next, I'm going to put the drawer front on the front of the drawer. I've cut this to dimension and rounded over the edges. It's a 1/16 of an inch smaller than the opening. And the way I'm going to glue it on there is take this drawer out, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on there like that. And then I'll take this drawer front and just put it down in there, press and rub. Just press it and rub it down on there. And what this does, it's called a rub joint. It spreads the glue out and it sort of makes a vacuum. Now I can't pull it off like that. I can support the box just by the glue, but I still have the ability to move it side to side. So I'll put it inside the box like that. Now then I can move this top around to get it to the right clearance all the way around where I like it. And I think I like that right about there. Looks even all the way around. We'll let that set and dry, and we're good to go. The drawer front has dried. I've sanded it to 220, knocked off the edges with sandpaper. The box itself, sanded 220, all the edges are knocked over. And next I'm going to put the finish. I'm using Minwax Wipe-On Poly. I've used it a lot on all my jewelry boxes and some of my other boxes, and it's really a good finish. Dip it in and wipe it on. On this drawer front, you need to get the edges, because those, when you pull it out, those edges will be seen. So get a nice clean line on there and rub it in. Same thing on the box. You need to go inside just a little bit because there's a reveal around there. Now we'll do the rest. As you can see, it's really an easy finish to apply. I'll let that dry for probably 4 hours and then come back and put a second coat. I'll sand it with probably 400 grit paper before I apply the second coat. I've put 3 coats of finish on these. I sanded it with 400 grit after the first coat, and then the next coats without any sanding between. Now that they're finished, they've got just a little bit of a gritty kind of a feel to them. So my last and final step is I take just regular brown paper bag, cut it up, and I just rub it like I'm trying to polish it with this brown paper bag. And a few strokes across it like that, and it just makes it glass smooth. It just takes those little crispy nubs off that just from the air. Okay, the boxes are smooth. One thing I forgot to mention is make sure that you run that paper bag over the edges of these, because just that tactile smooth finish on the edges is really important. Next thing is we're going to put a knob on this drawer. I'm going to start by taking a piece of blue tape, putting on there. Take a ruler to find the center, just put it corner to corner. Now there's my center where I want to drill the hole. The knob I'm going to use is a little antique brass knob. I got these off of Etsy. They've already been used. They've come off of old antique furniture, and they're really nice. Now take this to the drill press and drill the hole. Got the drill hole. That's dumb. I've got the hole drilled, and I've got some beeswax here that I like to put on threads of screws, and in this case, I'm going to put it on this knob. That beeswax makes it go in really easily. So now we've got a nice brass knob on that box. We're ready to go. It's finished, got the knob on. Now I'll show you how it works. I'm sure most of you have figured out how this all works anyway. The bottom, where we drilled all those holes through there, your thumb goes in and out to stop it. That's the key right there. Okay, so you open it up, You put your object in there, you close it, you stick your finger up in that hole, open it up, there's nothing there. You close it, take your finger out of the hole, open it up, and it's back there. So it's basically you're sticking your finger up in there and you're sliding that box inside of that box. This was a fun build. I hope you had fun building it too. I built 5 of these while I was making this one, so they'll make great gifts.